Hey, this is John Locke Division of JD Hudgens, Hungerford, Texas. I think I'm just on a roll because I made a video yesterday and I can't stop thinking about stuff and can't stop thinking of stuff to share. If you haven't watched the video that I had titled All Density is Not Created Equally, go back and watch that one before you watch this. I feel like I need a disclaimer at the beginning of every video. I am not advocating that anybody does anything that I do. All of this stuff is just food for thought. There's a lot of stuff out there. I started grazing, I guess, 8 years ago this spring, and didn't really have the resources. I think there's a really big grassroots effort, no pun intended, here lately, and things are really building. There's a lot of information out there. I really like to share. I feel like I'm living the dream, and I want to help other people, realize their dreams. And I know that sounds cheesy, but it really is a better life that we've found here doing things differently. I feel like I need that disclaimer. I'm not saying you need to do any of this stuff. And I'm going to completely contradict myself if you watch the first video and I talk about keep it simple. If it gets too complicated, if it's not fun, you're doing it wrong. I'm going to complicate things here for just a second and just talk about some considerations. I talked about increasing trample, changing your paddock size and your paddock strategy. One thing I failed to mention in that video, if you have these long narrow paddocks, you let the cattle in the middle and they can filter out either way, that kind of negates the purpose. If you start on the end to where the cattle have to travel the whole length of the paddock, and then when you let them out, let them come back to the same end and do the same thing over again, that should increase the trample. Check the paddocks from yesterday. Some of the Bermuda, they graze pretty short. I'm still not really sure that they trampled it necessarily. They trampled a lot of the other green stuff. I feel like we accomplished our goals there. So we grazed those cattle starting out yesterday morning. I said it was about 275,000 pounds density. If you watch them, they probably grazed at 500,000 pounds because they went to half of the paddock. They were very tight. They trampled mostly. They grazed a little bit. We did that twice yesterday morning because the main thing that you're after when you're grazing cattle and you're trying to make money in the cattle business is animal performance. If I did that over and over and over again, animal performance is going to suffer. Those guys will tell you, yeah, animal performance will suffer, but you're building soil. It'll all come around. I have the patience for that, but I don't know if I have the pocketbook that can stand that. Your animals have to be performing. So that's why I wanted to make this video today. I had a little dare, or somebody bet me that I couldn't kill trees with density and changing the soil fungal bacterial ratio. I don't know how long it'll take, but we've got a couple of tallow trees here in this pasture. So first thing this morning, the cattle had a good graze. I'm assuming I got here late. It's 9:30 right now. They got out here and had a pretty nice little graze. They were all laying down when I got here. Very happy. So I don't feel like I need to start them out and just really, ginning right off the bat. So I just said, you know what, I'm going to put them in here. They're probably in there at about 500,000 pounds density, maybe a little bit more, around these trees. They're not really grazing, and that's fine. That's not what they're there for. They're sort of, whenever they urinate, when they get the saliva on the ground, they're taking their energy, they're putting it back in the ground. It will change the soil environment somewhat. And then I'm going to move them to another narrow paddock over here. It's on the neighbor's fence line, and I'll share a couple of pictures of that. And it's perfect for trying to get a trample because that's an underutilized area. There's a lot of brush over there, and they just, either they've been shading up along the fence line under the trees, and they put more energy in the soil there and the grass grows faster, or it's underutilized. I'm not really sure which, but I don't really care. There's tall green grass there. I'll trample it, and then we'll move on to get some higher animal performance throughout the day. One little thing that I thought, I don't know if this is true or not, but I know sunlight is what powers all of this, photosynthesis. The energy we get from the sun is what we need to make all this happen. As the day goes on, the bricks in the grass get stronger. I'm going to experiment with this. I'm not sure it's the way to do it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some of these trample experiments first thing in the morning when the energy in the grass might not be quite as high, and then in the afternoon I can go up there at energy whenever the bricks is higher and let those animals harvest more energy and really perform well throughout the afternoon. I'll monitor the performance and see how that goes. Our manure is looking fantastic. By the end of the day, our gut feels looking fantastic right now. Those are the two main things I'm looking at to indicate animal performance. Some of the cows back here that are a little bit rough are fall calvers. They've got big calves on them. Because we have so much grass and so few cattle in this situation, I've chosen to leave those calves on a little bit longer than I normally would have. So that's it in a nutshell. Again, I'm standing here preaching to you about not overcomplicating things while I'm telling you all this complicated stuff. To me, it's not as complicated as it would have been 3 or 4 years ago. If you're just starting out, don't worry about when the bricks is hard. Don't worry about trampling and density and all that. Take baby steps, start out, just move your cows, get going, do something, anything. I had a coach that used to say, do something even if it's wrong, and I firmly believe that. So you'll learn from the mistakes. Those mistakes will be great learning opportunities. So don't overcomplicate it, have fun, think about what you're doing, make money, life will be good, you'll be living the dream. Thanks.